sound systems.
Yeah.
Bro, me too.
Yeah, like
That's interesting.
and even with music, it's kind of like I listen to the beat before I ever listen to like the lyrics of a person.
Yes.
But it really depends because I like to listen to a lot of instrumental too. Like classical music, some of it's good.
Okay.
Not all of it. Some of it's all right.
The older one, yeah.
Yeah.
You know Tame Impala, brother?
Who?
Tame Impala?
No.
No?
Tim Impala?
Yeah.
No, is he country?
No. He's not country. He just sounds, brother.
Really?
But the way is I don't know. It's very cool music. It's very good music, brother.
I can't play it right now because
You'll enjoy the beat.
Let me see, Tim Impala.
Yeah, he's very. I believe he's popular, bro.
So is it like EDM?
I think so, but I don't know what genre it is exactly.
Do you like EDM?
A little bit. I'm not the biggest fan, bro.
It's kind of like I don't know, like it's I don't know. Look at EDM concerts. I've gone to one. And,
no,
but,
like those. No.
Yeah,
like that. That's for white people.
And a whole bunch of drugs.
Yes, brother. No. I don't like that.
I like enjoying music, but I don't know. It's
good music, bro.
Yeah, and I think also that whenever I see like kind of like crowds and the crowds doing the same thing, it does something to me because I'm like, wait, like am I being psyoped or like am I doing something that like isn't like necessarily what I like? I just like it because everybody else likes it.
You're just trying to fit in.
Yeah. Type of thing, and like that becomes questionable fast to me because I'm like, okay, well, is it just because like I like it or like things like that? It's like kind of like religion, kind of. It's like, what
religion is interesting, for sure.
Religion has always been interesting because I'm like, okay, like I know that there's like a higher power, but it.
Yeah, what's your belief?
I'm a Catholic. I was raised Catholic.
Okay. And
then I have to kind of, I guess, address La Virgen de Guadalupe.
Okay.
But I really don't know. I feel like, okay, Jesus did exist at one point in history. But you know how there's a whole bunch of other like ancient artifacts that also are telling of how the whole story of the Bible might not be necessarily true. Some parts of it might be true. And then you find out that the Bible's been redacted by people. So then people could also be writing it in a way that they put their own perspective. It wasn't necessarily Jesus' perspective. Yeah. And so like you get into all that and it becomes very complicated. But Esteban, thank you for coming on the podcast, bro.
Of course, thank you for the invite, brother.
Thank you. And from what I know is that well, to me I'm curious because like why don't you ever get into the legacy team?
Legacy team. I believe I never really fit in. I tried my best, talking with the people, but it's just sometimes you just can't force the energy, you know what I mean?
Okay.
When you have an interaction with someone, you have an exchange of energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's tough to force it when it's just not there.
Okay.
I tried for a couple months. I tried working for Julio for a couple months, and I don't know, it didn't feel right for some reason. I mean, nothing against them at all. Nothing against them at all, but it didn't feel right within me. So.
Okay. Well, what did you think you were gonna end up doing? As I guess. From what I know is that you guys lived in California for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, what did you feel like was for you then? Like, were you like on a path to do like something like creative, something in business? What was it?
No, so the idea of moving to Charlotte was my idea originally, right? So
really?
I was the one that convinced my family to move everything from one side of the country to the other.
Dang, okay.
Because it's interesting, right? I mean, I like to think that I want to be 2 steps ahead most of the time. Okay. So I saw how California everything was just going downhill.
In what way?
In what way? So probably 3-4 years ago, after the pandemic, they started releasing these new laws. There was this one specifically where it was, if you didn't steal more than $900, you won't get a felony charged. So you won't get arrested. So that was almost like a welcome for everyone to just go in and steal less than $900, and they would be fine.
Are burglaries high in California?
It is lately, yes. This past few years, yes, it has been. So I mean, I would go into the store and I would see people just go in, grab a pile of clothes, and just walk out. The security couldn't do anything. He would just stand there and watch everything happen.
Really?
So that just everything just started going downhill. Just a welcome for everyone to just start stealing.
Man, okay.
That and I mean,
I didn't know that. I mean,
yeah,
I know that different states have different laws, but
mm-hmm.
California is always the one kind of like making very like weird
The odd
laws.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
but the thing is though that sets a foundation for everyone else to kind of follow the same thing. But
Correct.
then what are you really inviting?
Correct.
What type of monster are you creating?
Correct. Yeah. So everything just got combined at the same time because then the fentanyl problem raised up as well. Mainly in San Francisco, and then another thing that I just personally I don't agree with is the LGBT. The gay stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was just raising way too much. So you could just see it everywhere. Churches would put in pride flags outside of them. The schools were just giving these books to kids. I mean, there was this book is not all boys were blue, or are blue or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it teaches, or it talks about how this kid has his first experience with another kid. So it's very graphical. It's very graphic too.
And even with those themes, I feel like everyone has the liberty to explore it on whenever they want, right? Like you come of age, and
Yes.
you can rationally decide who you're gonna be. That's fine.
Yeah.
But the thing is that whenever you're feeding that to the youth, whenever you're feeding that to kids that don't really know what they necessarily want, or I'll tell it only from my experience because
Yeah.
I also like to hear their perspective, and I'm like, okay, like, well, what do you think is right? Like, right. But from my perspective, it's kind of like when I was younger, like you obviously like the color pink sometimes,
Yeah.
or you like even, or you'd even play with a doll. Like I'd play with a doll, but that doesn't necessarily meant that I wanted to be a girl.
Correct.
I was still a boy,
Correct.
but if I wanted to play with that, that's fine. But the thing that happens though is that whenever powers look at that and see that they can benefit from it, they'll exploit it. They'll exploit the kids.
100%.
And but the thing is too that I'm like, why do parents stand by that? Like that's even more surprising to me that parents aren't necessarily standing up for what's to come. Like again, I have gay friends. I have bisexual friends.
Yeah.
That's your liberty, right?
Correct.
That's you're
100%.
in
Yeah.
your own person. But if you are seeing that the kids are being exploited, or that they will do surgeries from which they'll never come back from, then what are you really dealing with? Because then these pharmaceutical companies are wanting for that to happen.
Correct.
So it's like
It's profitable for them.
and it's tough to see that, because it's like who really is gonna I guess stand up for kids if it's not their parents.
Correct. You're 100% right. And it's tough because then you try to analyze where is this coming from, right? Because then this hasn't been around just now, right? This is like an agenda that's been going on for years. Because now the parents are fine with it.
Yeah, which is like kind of like, man.
So
okay.
then it's like, okay, so these guys were brainwashed as well. So now the kids are just even worse. You know what I mean? So yeah. Anyway, so it was tough for me to just see that, right? I don't have anything against gay people or anything. If you're old enough, you can do whatever you want, right? You have the free will to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But as the kids, I think we have to take care of the kids and like not let them get corrupted by the world, right? Because I like to say this, right? You wouldn't allow a 12-year-old to get a tattoo.
No, I mean, depends which country you're talking about, but
In general, in general, you wouldn't let a 12-year-old get a tattoo because he's just naive, right? He just doesn't understand enough things of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you let him get a surgery that would define his whole life?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me.
And sometimes again, I'm not any other person, but I'm like, what type of psychological damage does that
Correct.
cause in the years to come?
Yeah.
Because the thing is, again, and I only take it from my own experience, it's like I might have liked girl stuff when I was like younger, but
Yeah.
what if it then like they had done something to me, and then I come to realize, hey, like I was just playing with girl stuff, like
Yeah.
I didn't really want to change, I didn't want a sex change, like like what does that do to me, because I can never go back.
Correct. Yeah.
It's
It
like,
just fucks you up for the rest of your life.
so yeah, I mean, okay, so it was so from what I understand, yeah, wow,
So
it's
yeah,
like,
it was a bunch of things. Yeah. So the gay stuff. You saw how they were corrupting the kids. Then just the economy was just failing, and the people were just failing as a society. It was just, I was like, damn. I mean, empires rise and fall, right?
yeah,
So I was like, California and specifically the Bay Area has been on the top for very long. It's just about time for them to just hit a bottom, right? Go and hit a bottom. So I was like, what? I started telling my parents, I think the best way is the East Coast. I still don't know what city is gonna be the right one,
yeah,
but I think East Coast is the move, right? And I've been thinking in the back of my mind, real estate. Real estate is not accessible at all in the West Coast. It's
because
way
of
too
how
expensive.
way too expensive.
Way too expensive. So on the East Coast, it's so easy to start, right? I mean, you can find land for $10,000 if you go far out enough, right? Of
Yeah, yeah,
Charlotte. So it's accessible for people. So
yeah,
you have the chance to at least start getting involved in the market, to say it in a way.
yeah.
So yeah, that took a little, like a year, for them to convince them, and then we just did it, brother. We did it last year. About I believe it was in September. We moved everything, our cars, and since then, bro, at the beginning it's always a struggle, because then now you have to readjust.
How was that for you? Like, did you have friends, longtime friends in California?
I've always had a small circle.
Okay.
So back in Cali, I have probably two friends. I still love them to this day. I don't talk to them anymore, but I love them. But yeah, that change was tough. My original plan was to bring them with me, but I guess their plans didn't align with my plans. So,
Yeah.
it's just what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, the adjusting is still. I think I like to say that I have adjusted now. I think I've created a good circle that I'm comfortable with, that I can call my friends, my brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I like to say that I'm doing good now.
But in that case, like, did you guys have a plan necessarily whenever you guys moved over here, or was it based off what you told them and also their hope? Like, was there a plan laid out?
Not really, brother. It was just a lot of hope. My parents are very big on God, so they just have that faith. So they sometimes just take that step without even knowing where it's gonna take them.
Hmm.
So it was that's what helped us a lot, and that's what has helped us throughout our life a lot as well, because my dad, uh, he's I appreciate him a lot because he's taught me a lot too, and he's very connected with God, and he just does things that we probably don't understand at first, but then as time passes by, you see that it was on his favor. It played out on his favor for some reason,
Which is weird
which is
because
interesting. Yeah,
my dad also always tells me, he's like, you want, he's like, because we build properties, right?
yeah,
And he's like, I was like, Dad, well, it's really expensive here in Charlotte. And I give him a list of excuses. And he's like, well, have you looked? He's like, well, have you located where a property is and what you want to buy? I was like, no, because we don't have the cash right now. He's like, don't worry about the cash. He's like, first, look at what the goal is, find it, like see it in person, and like, not that the cash will flow miraculously to your hands, but some way that, let's say you already know that it's going to cost $80,000, instead of like you not knowing.
Yeah.
That's better knowing that, and maybe you can find the $80,000 and come up with it and then buy it.
Correct.
Like, because if you don't really look for it ever and just stand there, then you're not really gonna do anything.
Correct.
And then
100%.
and then sometimes I just have to take a step back, and I'm like, man, like, that you can never miss. You never miss. and and I think that from what I see from you guys, it's also like family strength, though, like, which is rare. I think it's really rare these days.
Yeah, you're right, brother. I mean, most of the people that I meet, at least friends wise, they tell me all the time, like, your family is, I wish I had your family. And sometimes you take it for granted, right? Because you just have it, right? That's just the human nature, right?
Yeah.
You have something and you just take it for granted because it's always there.
Are you older or younger?
I'm the oldest one.
Okay,
Yeah.
like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm the first child, yeah.
Okay.
So it's interesting, how us human works sometimes.
But how do you feel like whenever you have to make a difference? Like, what difference do you see from your friends that come, like, even from broken families to you? Like, do you feel like you're a lot more stable than them?
That's a good question, brother. It's tough for me to think because I usually don't like to compare myself with anybody. I just like to think that I'm unique. I'm just different.
Okay.
But if I have to sit down and analyze their lives as well, I can see certain parts of their life where something's missing, because I believe it's very important as you grow up to have your mom and your dad, right?
Yeah.
Because it just creates that balance in life, right? Your mom is that loving nature inside, nurture inside, and then your dad, he just gives you that raw truth of life, and he just tells you things for how they are, right? So it's like, okay, interesting, Me having that is normal to me, but then when I see it, when I start deep analyzing people, I can see where they lack certain things because they probably didn't have a dad, right? They have probably too many feminine behaviors, right?
Yeah.
Very soft behaviors, which is fine. I don't judge it, but it's just how it is. It's just what it is.
Even I think that sometimes I have to be a little like, I have to comprehend that, because since they had no real male figure in their life, how else can they be?
Correct.
Like, how else are you gonna come out? Honestly.
Yeah.
Like, and then if you have a very hyper masculine father, then how are you gonna come out with love?
Yeah. You're right.
Because I think it's very dangerous when you're either, as a man, like, I'm only speaking as a man. I never like to speak on how women or nothing like that. That's them.
Yes.
But as a man, I think that it's very, very tough to be on either side of the spectrum. Like, it's not too good to have too many feminine traits, and it's not too good to have too many masculine traits, because, like, there's a balance, I think, in life.
Correct.
That a balanced man will always beat a hyper masculine man. Mm-hmm. Like, today, I think that's why that's so prominent, even like the alpha males or the Andrew Tates, because they are capitalizing on guys, on children that, like, have nowhere else to go.
That means that part of it, that part of the equation.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are datless, fatherless.
Yeah, and to me that's a weird thing, because it's like how they propagate the whole idea that money will fix everything. Money will get them women. Money will get them the cars. Money will get them the life they don't have.
Yeah.
But money will not buy you a father. Money will not buy you a good family. Correct. Like, and you can't just sit there and feel bad, because I think in life you have to make decisions.
Yeah.
And you can't really always dread in your guilt, dread in what's tough.
Correct. 100%.
Because at the end of the day, like, you're still living, so you have to end up making decisions. But I mean, today I think that that's what affects us like a lot as men. Like I feel like I'm a lot more stable than my friends.
Yeah.
But it's just because that, because like
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes take for granted that I have a good
Yeah.
father, I have a good mother.
Yeah.
I have my brothers that teach me a lot, like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of patience, obviously.
You're
And
the youngest one?
no, I'm the oldest.
Okay, okay, oldest.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's always like I've always had this idea that I have to go before everyone else.
Okay.
Like if I don't set something at pace, then who will? You
Correct.
know?
Yeah.
I mean, other than my father, right? Because he's a grown man. But even him, he relies on me just because the world is evolving so fast that he's like, hey, how do you do this? How do you do
Yeah.
this?
It's yeah. Believe me, I understand that completely.
But then how do you feel like then whenever you told your parents, okay, like let's move down here, like then what? Like what was your goal? Like kind of like where you wanted to take your family?
So my goal was always, because like I said, in the back of my mind, I always had real estate. So
Okay.
I knew that was what I was gonna do.
In California, had you ever gone to any seminars or anything like that?
Nothing at all.
No,
Nothing at all. No. No.
but
No.
it's just something that interested you.
Yeah, yeah. I remember just scrolling through TikTok and seeing this Asian guy just appear on my feed, just saying how easy it was to just make $20,000 flipping a house.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no way, right? I mean, you. So I started looking into it. It's just studying what he actually did. I'm like, okay, this makes sense. Because I moved through common sense. So if it makes sense, okay, maybe it can work. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my intention at first when I got here, but I saw that it's not as easy as they make it seem. You know,
Yeah.
there's a whole process behind it. But sorry about that.
Very good.
But here, I'll take it back to what you were saying earlier, brother. The balance, right? I believe balance is very important, and you just said it as a man. It's very important to have a balance between all the emotions we have, right?
Mm-hmm.
As we grow up in life, I like to see this because I lived it, right? There was a period in time where I was very egotistical,
Mm.
and then I was like, okay, I'm very egotistical.
what,
then
what age though?
I was probably like 17,
Okay.
in high school, I just thought I was the shit.
Yeah. No,
And then I'm like, you know
it's-
what? This is not taking me anywhere, right? I mean, people dislike me. Like, what am I doing? So then I went to the other extreme, which was too humble. But guess what I gained out of having those two experiences.
Well, tell me first what you gain out of being humbled.
Humble, I just saw how people would just listen to you more, and they would give you a shot, because you appear as someone lower than them, in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're being humble, you're putting yourself all the way down, all the way down. Yeah. So people are looking down at you.
Which
So,
which can be bad though too.
which,
Like
of course,
and they're
of
gonna take
course,
advantage of you.
of course. So that's where I was going. What was the result of those two periods in my life? Combining them and then seeing and finding the balance between both of them. Because ego and humble is two opposite things. So when you learn to control them, you find the balance. So where I'm going with this is, I think us as men, we've been taught that we shouldn't feel emotions, right? We should be very stoic, like how they say now, right?
Yeah,
Stoic, just
like
don't feel anything, just
nothing should affect
emotionless,
stoicism is also a new type of philosophy that everyone wants to adapt to.
correct. But I think as when you're born and you feel a certain thing, they do something to you as a kid and you cry, is for a reason. So all these emotions are for a reason and are very important.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah,
100%.
they make you they have to make you cry to know that you're alive.
Correct. Correct. And my point is once as a man, it's very important for you to learn learn this and take control over your emotions and what you feel. Because once you do, you will know how to use each emotion in different scenarios. So every scenario is gonna, is gonna be on your side. You know what I mean? So you're gonna know how to react every moment. You're gonna know when to be humble. If you're having a deal meeting, if you're having a discussion with someone that you want to have a deal with, you know, you're gonna know when you want to be humble, when you want to be egotistical, when you want to prove a point.
Yeah, and when you have to, even because people could just see that weakness and also go against you.
Correct. So it's like having a superpower, you know, because I tell my friends this all the time. Happiness, like happiness, people talk about, I want to be happy all the time. I just want to be happy. I just want to be happy. But the thing is, you need sadness to appreciate happiness. If you're happy all the time, you don't know what sadness is. So you don't know, so happiness doesn't exist. So once sadness comes into your life, then you appreciate those happy moments. Then you appreciate happiness. It's like, okay, you see, in life you just need the light and the dark. That's it. You need the good and the bad. It's necessary. It's necessary for you to just see how everything works.
So then how, like, if your ego was kind of high through those high school ages, which is kind of normal, how would you tackle your anger? Like, because probably there were moments where you were, like, frustrated and even angry, right? Like,
yeah.
I feel like any rational, high-achieving person gets angry when you kind of aren't getting better.
You're right. But it's getting angry is completely up to you, because it completely depends on the perspective you have on life, right? I think if you get angry about something that happened to you that you just didn't have any control over it, it's like, what are you gaining out of being angry about this situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not gaining anything, right? So it's like, everything, I like to think everything happens for a reason. And it's very hard to just see that people just get stuck in this in the trauma and the negative side of things. Because you can either get stuck in what the problem is, or just learn from it.
Which is tough sometimes. Like, I even understand people sometimes in their demise.
Yeah.
Like, I try to understand them, but the thing is that at some point you kind of have to dig yourself out. Like, and it's not even up to me, right?
Yeah.
You can give tips, you can give words of advice, but it's really up to the person to dig themselves out.
Correct. You're 100% right.
You can't really do anything for them.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And it's tough to help someone that doesn't want to be helped, that don't want to help themselves.
Yeah.
You can't do anything, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
It's like that saying, like the dog that just keeps coming back to the vomit. They vomit and they want to go back and eat it. You tell him to stop, or he just keeps going. Or like that saying, you can take you can ride the horse to the pond, but you can't make him drink the water.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's just interesting.
But then that balance, how has it helped you balance out what you felt was made for you here? Like what Charlotte was like. Charlotte was a new opportunity for you.
Correct. Yeah.
What were you going to capitalize on?
I think just talking to you, I know that you experience very similar feelings as I did, probably growing up. And this is the thing. When I was in school, I knew school wasn't for me. But
Yeah.
but I didn't know what I was gonna do. You know, I just
Yeah.
knew it wasn't for me. But I just, I didn't know what I was gonna do.
I always go back to my first job. Like, obviously, I didn't have the intelligence to uh, have the words and say the words that I wanted to say.
Correct.
But I would just look at the people around me and just listen to the type of conversations they had. And either people are talking about how frustrated they are about work,
Mm-hmm.
or they're talking about how much trouble they have at home. It's never really much more than that.
Correct.
Or then people also want to decide that they only want to talk about happy things, or people
Yeah.
only want to talk about sad things. But you can't really ever get stuck in one. Like, you have to be versatile.
You gotta have the whole spectrum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, and so therefore, like, that was my first experience that I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, who do I want to be? But again, like, you really don't know what you're set out for. Like, I obviously wanted to play soccer, but I knew I wasn't going to be a professional soccer player, right? Like,
Yeah.
so obviously, like, you have to, from, like, you can have imagination, but you always have to balance it with reality.
Correct. Yeah.
Like, you can't just
Yeah.
go one way and think that that's going to go your way, because that's just delusion, right? And so I had to check myself plenty of times, but just like you, I think that, and a lot of times I was like, well, this isn't for me, but I know I want to be big.
Yeah. That's it. You just had a bigger vision, but you didn't know what it was.
But then what do you call it? Because it's like it's like how do you help people? I guess not adopt the same mentality, because I feel like not everybody, not everyone is gonna be a businessman.
Yeah.
Not everyone's gonna be able to handle the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've seen it happen. Like, I've seen so many programs instill hope into people, but then people end up in the same place they started, or worse, just because they thought they could be something that they weren't necessarily meant out to be.
Correct.
Because I don't think everybody's made for business, honestly.
That's it. You said it, brother. You said it. You know, you asked me how can we teach people to learn this side of life. I think it's very tough. You're either born with it, or it's very tough for you to learn it.
Or
And
I think you got to be the oldest brother, or the
yeah,
oldest. Yeah,
that's it. And you know what? It's fine, you know, because once you see it, you see that it just brings the balance to life as well. You know, you need the smart people, you need this less smart people that are willing to work the 9 to 5.
yeah.
You know, which is fine. You know, they make the world go round. You know, I don't judge them at all. You know, because that's just the capabilities that they have.
In a sense, like, you talked about ego, and I think that you also have to balance that and, like, check that, because it's like,
Oh, yeah.
it's like you can never. I always check myself, because I'm like, how am I? Sometimes I go in over my head. Like, I feel like I'm not necessarily better, but I feel so much of myself that then it kind of seems like I'm being, like, I have a huge ego.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it's always like a balancing, because I really wasn't born with much. I'm from Mexico, and I don't know. Like, I just didn't come from much, and even
Yeah.
like only until recently, like, my life has changed. Like, 5 years, like in a 5 year
Yeah.
scope, like, it changed dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
But everything before that, all those emotions, I have to appreciate on who I am today, and not treat people any less, not treat people's time like any less. Like, if I say I'm gonna meet with you, I'm gonna meet with you. If I say that I'm gonna help you, I'm gonna help you.
Yeah.
Or help when it's not even necessary.
Correct.
Like, it's like you always have to have that ego in check as well, because it's
Yeah.
like we're not talking here like, oh, like, you're the greatest thing ever, or like your thoughts are the greatest thing ever. No.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I think that people in life are important creatively.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like, comedians are even important for the balance of life.
Yeah.
Like, all those, like, you always, there's always like a certain amount of people that can do certain things, and that's how life balances out.
Correct.
But, like, you don't want to necessarily be like anyone else. Like, for a long time, I also, like, followed a lot of people. Like, I was a huge follower.
Yeah.
But because I think I was stuck in not knowing what I wanted to do or saw no hope in what I wanted to do, that I was like, okay, I'll just follow people.
Yeah. Because you just don't know where to go at the time. But brother, you made a great point. I mean, that having that ego unchecked is very important as well. You know, because being egotistic all the time, then it's gonna make you comfortable. Then you're gonna be okay with the position you're in. So it's gonna be very hard for yourself to judge what you're actually doing wrong. So it's gonna be hard for you to find something that you're doing wrong because your ego just takes over. So you're like, okay, then you don't have any room for improvement anymore.
Okay, true, true. I had not thought about it that way.
So you made a great point. It's very important.
And I think that that's why I have my brother. Like my brother is younger than me, but he always has a different perspective than me. Like not like he does it on purpose, but he just does. Like
Yeah.
he just does, and and I kind of like get frustrated sometimes, but I'm like, wait, like if I look at it rationally, maybe he does have a point, and
Yeah.
it's something that's hard to admit.
Yeah.
But it's good to have because if you never had
100%.
like if I never had him to like guide me in things in just the way that I thought about things and he didn't think about it differently, I'm like, man, maybe I would have made more mistakes if he didn't bring it up.
100%. And I think, brother, I think you're very privileged to have a brother, you know, in very very close to you, at least age wise, because he gets to see all sides of you, or most of the sides of you. You know, the good, the bad, the ugly, and he has just a whole different perspective on you than anybody else out there.
Which
So
I think
I think that was very powerful to have, brother. You know, because
yeah, and then also I think that only until recently I've kind of adopted my dad's philosophy of like, okay, you guys have to stick together because he's your brother. When in like previous years, me and my brother didn't really talk like that. I don't know why. I don't know if that's a sibling thing that you guys just hate on each
I
other.
think it's just a face.
I maybe
Yeah.
maybe because I used to like it's like you don't want to take that annoying little brother to because your dad is telling you like I got annoyed at that at some point, like it's like like my brother, like no, I don't want to take him, but now I'm with him all the time. And the thing is that I didn't really listen a lot to my brother or his ideas. I might have dismissed him at some point, and that's something that you come to learn, like and you have to realize like, okay, like you can't keep on doing that because like two brains are always better than one. Like
100%.
and my dad is always like, he's like, why don't you like take your brother with you, why don't you teach your brother, like, and he always says this, he's like you better stick with your brother, he's like, you never know, he might beat you. And like I'm like, that's kind of like my dad
It keeps you in check as
yeah
well.
yeah
No, as another brother, believe me, it does. Yeah.
like it's like damn, like okay, maybe like maybe he is right, you know, like I can't think too much about myself. And honestly, like I've always worried and been concerned over my family on like what we were gonna do. That's a big driving factor to kind of like why I still want to pursue the things that I want to. Like I still want to continue learning for my kids or whenever I decide to have a family. Like I want them to grow up with a bigger like a broader perspective than me. Like I think that I grew up with a very tight and narrow perspective only until recently, obviously. But that limits you, like that limits you creatively. People tell you that you can't do something and then you end up believing it, like all those dreams and hopes lost for people that didn't have the families that we do or have the people around us that we do, like all those dead dreams. Like imagine what could have been, like it, you know, that I also think about that, like like man, like there are so many people that want to get out, like out of the way that they think, out of the way, out of their worries, out of their concerns, but they just can't because of their environment.
Correct.
The people around them keep telling them no, and I was like, That's horrible. Like that's, but only up until you talk about them, or even yeah, talk to him with someone else. Like, do you like actually realize like, hey, like all this, like it wouldn't have happened if it weren't for them. And in life, you end up thinking, oh, it's me, it's me, it's me. It's like it's not. It's really not.
No, 100%. I agree, but it's tough. It's tough to see so many people just grow up in a box and just stay in that box. You know, I
Yeah.
like to think that us, the free thinkers, we're able to just grow up in that box and be able to step out of it whenever we want. Because I like to say this, I also understand the other side because I can see how it can be so hard when I like to put it this way. If you grow up in a town where everybody's fat, that becomes your reality. That's just everything you see. That's all you see. That's your reality. Okay, people are fat, but once you step out of that town and you go to another town where everybody's skinny, boom, it's just a reality, just a crash or in your reality. It's like, oh shit. So people are skinny. What the fuck are these people? These people are weird. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
I grew up seeing fat people, and this is normal to me. Why is there skinny people? So that's the perfect representation of how us as human we grew up in a box, and it's very tough once you get out there and see another perspective to accept it, because you've been seeing something else your whole different life.
So what were the perspectives that you gained whenever you touched down here?
Um, I think the U.S. is similar at the end of the day. It's very similar, but
That's what I say too.
Yeah.
I've gone to a few cities, and I'm like, everything's done the same way, but just in a different manner. Like,
yeah,
it's
that's
just-
it. If I could speak about any differences, would be between Colombia and here, right? I mean, I just the biggest difference was I would talk to at least white people, and I would see how privileged these guys are most of the time.
in the States or
In the States,
Okay.
yeah, in the U.S. When I got here, I started analyzing these people. I'm like, wow, these people are privileged.
But privilege in what way? Like,
In what way? In what way? This is the way. Because I remember just as a kid, going to the store to get groceries. They would send me by myself, and then on the way back, I would just see someone just sitting on the side of the street, and then someone coming behind their back, just pulling out a machete and just boom, hitting them in the back. And me, just as a kid, just seeing all of this is, yeah, this is my reality. This is life, right? Like, okay, this is another day, another day in my life, So you start to normalize these things, and then you come here, and you see these people complaining about how this guy parked in the middle. I'm like, wow, how privileged you have to be to complain about things like this, I mean, oh, my food was too hot, oh, my steak was, it was too well done. Like, interesting, these people are complaining about, people, maybe scratching your car, they're making the biggest deal ever. Or the violence, the little violence, the little insults they have. Oh, you gay. You go crazy, or because they give these certain words, they give power to them, You can't say the F word, faggot, you can't say that, You say that to someone, they can call the police on you. In California, they can call the police on you if you say faggot.
really?
Yes. And
Oh my God, I
and
didn't
you
know
can
that.
get in jail. You can go to jail if you call someone a faggot. So it's like, damn, this is insane. People are so privileged.
And
They
and
haven't seen true violence.
and again, like, you never wish that upon people, but yeah, that's the
Of
thing.
course.
Like I had someone too that, but that's a crazy story. Like, I guess I'm glad that you didn't think. Well, that was your reality, right?
Yeah,
But
that
like,
was my reality. Yeah.
but you got out of it,
Mhm.
and I'm glad. I had a like a video editor that was, I think, from Pakistan, or I don't know, I think from Pakistan. And he ends up telling me, he's like, hey, he's like, you haven't heard from me in a week because we ended up going to like a protest, and we got shot like with like rubber bullets,
Wow.
and they turned off our electricity for a week, just because it's kind of like them throwing them in timeout. Like, imagine, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
imagine those things happen here. Like,
Yes.
but like, you do bring up good points, like, oh, they scratched my car here, or my food was too hot, or my coffee's too hot.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like, you just look at it and it's like, man, like, you don't really have a sense of the world, do
Yes.
you? Like,
No.
I like, it's like, but what other way can they think?
Yes,
You know what
which
I
is
mean?
fine. I don't judge them. I just it's hard for me to just see that, and knowing my upbringing, knowing the things I've lived through, and just seeing them. Wow, it's interesting. It's just how it is.
It creates a like, it weakens you mentally. Like, it weakens you. You don't really have a high mental fortitude. Like, it's tough. Like, again, you never wish anyone grow up in violence. You don't ever wish anyone grow up in those situations, right? But
But then you know what's interesting. Then again, I think me thinking back on all those times, I feel very grateful for God allowing me to live through all those moments, because I think, at least us, the journey that we're in is just to make money, right, and to be financially free eventually, right. What we want to do is we want to retire our parents eventually. That's
yeah,
that's one of our missions. So I think us, when we get to the point where we have the money like that, it's like, damn, we've been privileged because we've been able to see all perspectives in life. We've seen the good and the ugly, and then it just makes you a lot more grateful for what you have, because then you appreciate it, everything that you have even more, because you know where you come from.
yeah, and you don't. I mean, again, like, sometimes I take it for granted, but yeah, like, even where I'm from, it's like Veracruz, like, the power is constantly going out, but over here, like, I'm in AC all the time.
Yeah, no, you're right. No, believe me, if you're able to make it out of the bad, it's amazing. I think it's the best experience you can have. But if you're stuck in that life, your whole life is tough. No, I do believe it's tough. Because believe me, I think people that grow up rich, they're not grateful at all. And they can be very narcissistic and egotistical people. They'll just see you like a piece of shit, right? If you don't have it like that. So it's good that we ourselves, as immigrants, or as people that are not from the U.S., we're able to experience that other side of life, and we're still able to just get out of it and just start leveling up.
What people had helped you here, whenever, like what, like, when I said perspective, like, what sort of people did you start meeting out here in Charlotte, and then to the point of where you're at now?
So okay, so in Charlotte, the first person I met was Julio, and he was
Really?
very welcoming, very welcoming.
Okay.
Yes, he was a very very nice person.
But
Um,
because you guys, like, did you guys like look up like real estate groups as soon as you guys came
yeah,
here?
so we went to this La Cancha event, and
En la
Julio was
cancha.
part of it.
En la cancha.
Yeah,
En la cancha is which guy? The other. He's another.
I think his name is Christian, and I can't remember the other guy's name,
Okay.
but it's two guys.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Hmm. But yeah, Julio was part of it, and the event was here in Charlotte.
Okay.
So me with my dad, we took the trip from California here to just getting the event, just see how it was.
Mm-hmm.
And, we had good connection at first with Julio. Like, okay, you know what? We've been talking about moving to the East Coast. This is probably the sign to do it, right? He's willing to help us because we want to do maybe a fix and flip, maybe start flipping land or something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's do it. So we just took that step without even knowing what we were gonna actually do.
Did you guys have any cash ready, or were you looking to finance? Like, did you find those people within that networking group?
No, my parents have always been pretty smart, so they did have cash around.
Okay,
So,
okay.
We didn't struggle making the move and actually starting a project here.
Okay, okay,
So,
okay.
yeah, it was fun.
Okay, and after that, then like what did?
And after that, is there was a couple things that happened that I wasn't too happy about. I don't like to get into details, but I probably didn't agree too much with what Julio did at the moment. So my family just started removing themselves from the picture, at least from their group,
Mm-hmm.
and just we started to branch out and just start to we were trying to meet new people. So we would use the events that
Mm-hmm.
Julio would make as a way to meet new people,
Mm-hmm.
and that helped us a lot. So believe me, it was tough for me for like 2 months. I was just in my room. I was just at the house, just by myself, doing nothing. Truly, just I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything. No friends. Nothing. Just I didn't know. I didn't have any direction
Here in Charlotte.
here in Charlotte. I was. I don't like to say. I don't. I don't really believe in depression, but I like to think that I was very close to a depression. Point in my life. Or a very down point in my life.
Mm. But how'd you get out of it then?
Cause it's easy, right? Cause once you hit rock bottom, the only way is up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Once you hit rock bottom, there's no other way to go. You just gotta go up. And I got very lucky to meet these two guys, Glory and Mohammed. And I remember the first conversation we had. It was at the Monarch party.
Was
The
it
1 year anniversary.
for Fast Flow?
No, for Monarch. It was
For Monarch?
Monarch is this firm, this real estate firm.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. The Monarch group, right?
The Monarch group, yes.
Okay.
So I happened to get invited to it. So when I got there, I had this conversation. The first conversation I had with these two guys, it was just natural. It just flowed. Like as flow.
Yeah.
It flowed. And since then, our connection between us has just grew even more and more and more and more and more. I mean, they like to call me the third face of Fast Flow now. And I feel very privileged, and I take it very seriously. And like I say, I'm very privileged to be in the position that I am right now.
Mm-hmm.
With so many little time that I've been here in Charlotte, right?
But do you feel now that like you've settled in since you found the group of people that you kind of agree with?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, because I think the relationship that we have is not just work, but it also goes outside of work.
Okay.
It's a very deep relationship, and I think it's almost insulting to call them my friends, because the relationship that we have now is just like a brotherhood. It's just like my brother is my brother, and I appreciate every moment that I have with them. And believe me, we've been doing great. Fast Flow is growing fast. We're working with the biggest builders in NC, in North Carolina.
And what is it that you do?
I specialize in acquisition.
In acquisition?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've always been very big on psychology and how the mind works. And how you can try and get behind someone. So where they're coming from. So before they even say anything, you're ready for whatever they're gonna say.
Okay.
So me applying that into what I'm doing right now has been very beneficial.
Okay.
Because Uh, in the past, I took a class of copywriting. So I choose copywriting is the art of writing an article where you're selling a product,
Okay.
but you through text. You know, so it's gotta be very appealing to the person that's reading it, and you have to
Copyright.
convince that person to buy the product you're writing about.
Mm-hmm.
So that and just me analyzing, I had a lot of years just analyzing myself and just sitting down and just going inside of myself in the dark place, right? Because it's tough to go inside of you because it's just a constant battle
Yeah.
because you're not happy with yourself most of the time.
Yeah. True.
So combining all of that was very beneficial for what I do now. You know, just seeing, trying to convince people to sell me a piece of land.
Is it always easy?
No, it's not easy. It's not easy. You know, it's very tough. But I mean, that's what makes it fun.
Okay.
You know, because if it was too easy, then you know, it's just then anybody would do it, right?
Yeah. True.
But you gotta have a certain way to approach someone to sell you something, right? Because they don't have a for sale sign anyway, right? You're calling them, you calling them, and trying to convince them to sell them a piece of something that they own.
But with like you don't find it that it's tougher since you have competition, since a lot of people are also getting in this space. You don't find it tough
I don't I don't
competitively?
I don't think about the competitions, to be honest.
Okay.
In fast flow, at least between us, we like to think that we're the best, and we're the best acquisition, the land acquisition, at least.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to think that we have the proofs. You know, that we have the receipts. You know, we work with the two biggest builders in North Carolina. You know, Olympia Homes, and Northway Homes.
Mm.
They're the biggest builders in North Carolina, and we have them literally. We call them, you know, and we treat them like we're our friends. You know, so it's and they respect us a lot. You know, and every deal we send them is just okay. Let's make it happen. Flip it over. Boom. Let's make it happen. So we've created this respect, and people start. I think people are starting to see it as well. You know, people are starting to reach out and be like, "Hey, I want to join the team. Hey, what you guys are doing is great." You know, so it's you know it feels good. It feels good to see the people also seeing the progress and the results, seeing the results.
Whenever people aren't ready to sell their home or sell their piece of land, like what's the best way to get to them?
You you have to understand that people, us humans, are very emotional. So they are attached to that piece of land in a way. So they could be attached. The reason for why they don't want to sell could be like, oh, I want to leave it for my kids. When that, because when that happens, it's very tough. It's very tough. I mean, at
Okay.
least me, I don't like to push it. I don't like to push it when they say that because it's tough. Because damn, I mean, if I have something that I want to leave for my kids, you know, I don't want somebody else to just take it from me.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so it's like I respect it. You know, I also have boundaries because it's very important to just be to also have a moral side of sales
Okay, okay.
because you
Good,
can
good.
just be very emotionless and heartless, right?
Okay.
And just scam this old lady. Yeah, I'll give you 10,000 for your land that's worth 50,000. You
Mm,
know,
yeah.
it's tough. No, I just don't feel good at the end of the day doing that kind of business. Just it doesn't feel good within me. You know, at the end
Okay.
of the day, you know, I believe when we go to sleep, you know, you have to feel good about what you did that day. And I just don't feel good scamming people. You know,
Okay, good, good, good.
or
Good because um the whole wholesaler, the whole
it
flipping,
has a bad reputation.
it has horrible because even me as like I want to be a huge builder one day, right? But and maybe flip homes, but we've always set ourselves apart in our quality just
Yeah,
because I've seen people get burnt.
yeah,
I've seen like whenever after the pandemic uh passed, I think everybody wanted to get into real estate, right? But everybody wants to get into real estate for the wrong reasons, like just because of their greed.
yeah,
um you'd see people uh, getting a contract in a home and then reselling it, but without telling the buyer, hey, like you're buying a home that doesn't have a good foundation,
Mm-hmm.
has water damage, might have termites, but
Yeah.
the list goes on. But then even the people that buy it and and try to flip it and say like they're gonna paint it, they're gonna fix it, those people, the type of work that they're doing is just painting over holes, patching whatever that they can,
Yeah.
and then selling it for to the next person, knowing that that home is not going to last.
Correct.
That to me makes me mad
It's
because
bad business.
you are just setting the setting a bad reputation for everyone else that's wanting to get into the business.
Correct.
Come on,
You're 100% right, and I think reputation is very important. And having a good reputation is key to having a good business. Because then you would have customers coming back. Because it's better to have customers coming back than just people that come once to you and then they find out who you truly are. And you're a piece
Yeah.
of shit, and they just never go back to you. They never
Yeah.
come back to you. So it's very important to have that side. Just
Or even when people sell you contracts that are a bit scammy without telling you the full details of things, like
yes,
it's like, man, like why don't you just tell me, right?
yeah,
Like if I'm buying something and it has something under it, please tell me, because
yeah,
but people, again, it's their greed and it's their want to have money and go on to the next deal, but little do they know that, I don't know. I think that you just set bad luck to kind of come back to you.
100%, bro. And you going into that topic, I think I'm a, I'm someone that believes in karma, right? And I think karma is very real. So if you do good, if you do bad, if you do someone wrong, that's gonna come back to you eventually. Probably not right away, but eventually it's gonna come back to you, and it's not gonna be fun. It's not gonna be pretty. Cause I also have a big belief in God, and I like to keep myself very grounded all the time. That's why I appreciate a struggle, because when as the closest we are to struggle is the closest we are to God. Because believe me, everyone that's struggling is praying in a way or just asking a higher power for something. Because they just don't have the answers to it. And believe me, I was literally having this conversation with my brother yesterday. I told him, brother, I bet you those people in the submarine, when that submarine was about to explode, I bet you they were probably atheists, but they were praying. They were praying for their lives, brother. Because that's when you actually see us human get closer to God, which is fucked up. It's fucked up.
Dig, yeah.
Yeah, it's fucked up to see it that way, but it's just how we are. The closest we are to struggle, the closest we are to God. Now we start praying, which is fucked up. Why do we work this way? But it's just how it is. So that's why I appreciate the good and the bad. And the bad I appreciate even more, because I know it just brings me closer to God. It's like, and I love the connection that I have with Him, because once I reach out to Him, it's like, damn, He just filled me in with all this power, and I can just do anything. I feel invincible.
Mm-hmm.
Because let me tell you a story that happened to me in the past. I remember back probably 3 years ago, I used to pray to God. God provide me with strength, and that's all I would pray for.
Every night,
Yes,
every day.
every day, every night, every day. I would be like, God, provide me strength. And guess what He gave me? The worst, one of the worst periods in my life. I had the worst heartbreak ever. I'm like, damn, what the fuck? I
Okay.
didn't ask for this, right?
That would get you
But
going.
then guess what? After reflecting on what happened, what did I gain?
Strength.
I gained strength. So I'm like, it's so. And then I look back and say, it's so interesting the way God works sometimes, right? You don't understand it. He acts in front of you and He makes things happen in front of you that you just don't see because you walk through life like this. Most of the time. It's like interesting.
Would you have left California if it weren't for that?
Yeah. I've always had the idea of leaving California because I just saw how bad California was getting.
Okay, but
Yeah.
you don't think that relationship would at least kind of?
Oh, that definitely added to the fire. That definitely added to the fire.
No, no, but if you still had that relationship, you don't think that would have like kept you in California?
Probably, probably.
Okay.
Which is why I like to think that God allows everything to happen, and He. Look, I like to think this, right? I mean, everything that has happened and that hasn't happened in your life has put you in this moment, in this place right now.
Everything that has and hasn't, yeah.
So it's very important, right? So why would I regret something that happened 3 years ago, if it put me in this place right now? It would be foolish of me to just get stuck in that moment.
But it's tough though. But I mean, it's tough though because in the moment, you're still in the moment. You aren't seeing.
No, completely, completely. In the moment, you don't understand the higher purpose of everything, you know. But once you look back, that's why I have so many issues with people that just like to complain all the time about their past. Like, what can you do? What can you truly do, right? You only have control over what you're gonna do right now. So why wouldn't you make this a good time so you can start leveling up? You know, you what you're choosing, what you're choosing to not change is how you're gonna is gonna be your pain. You know, I mean, I like to say this, right? People, humans are very interesting. Humans, us, we don't change until the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of changing, which is it's incredible to me. It's like why do we work this way, right? Once the pain of actually changing, once the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of changing, now you make the change because that's the easy way out at that point. So like it's interesting, you know. So that's why I shit so much on people that aren't able to get past all the traumas. Because I believe all the traumas and everything, all the negative that happened in my life was necessary to make me the man that I am right now, that I am today.
Which is tough again because you can tell people your philosophy and tell them that maybe that this is for a greater reason.
Yeah.
But again, like if they don't give themselves the opportunity to live a better day that day, then they won't ever get to a greater future.
True, because they're not doing it the right way, right? Because I believe to level up, you first have to go inside of yourself and just destroy that old negative side of you that's just holding you back. You know, and that's the hardest step to take, to go inside of you, because that's a very dark place, filled with trauma.
Feel the trauma, yeah.
That's it. So it's tough to go inside of it. You know, it's tough. You know, it's just you get in a deep hole, and it's like you feel uncomfortable. You don't like it because you see all the bad in you. You see, and all the trauma, all the negative that happened in your life. So it's at that point is you either accept it or you fight it off and just find just find, learn from it and start leveling up, brother. Because there's no other way. Because that trauma is always gonna be there. Those memories are always gonna be there, want it or not. You want it or not.
But then, what do you tell a young, hopeful individual that doesn't want to stay where he's at? What would you be your best advice?
To not get comfortable. Because I think being comfortable is very is very negative for your development. You know, like we were talking about earlier, right? The ego thing. You know,
Yeah.
if you tell yourself that you're perfect and you don't have to change anything, then you get comfortable. Then you don't have room for improvement. So that's what it is. That I would tell them this. Yeah, don't get comfortable. It's very important. You know, always seek purpose. That's it. At the end of the day, make sure when you go to bed, you know you seek purpose that day, and you see that you're gonna have a good sleep. You know, you can die that night and you can be like, okay, you know, I was trying my best. I tried my best. You know, I wasn't doing anything just to do it. You know, with no purpose. That's it. Cause it's purpose. That's it. That's what it's all about. Just seeking purpose. And I think what we do, we seek a lot of purpose in it. You know, we have a mission. We have an intention behind it.
Yeah, and even till this day, sometimes I'm like, I don't know what it is, but like I'm like, even with talking to people, it gives me insight to new perspectives. It helps me see the world in a new light, because obviously, like, I don't think positive all the time. I
Yeah.
think that the best way for me to kind of like live through my reality is kind of live through the worst as well. Like I can't say like, oh, it's always good. No, like there's so many struggles I go through. There's so
Yeah.
many challenges that are present and that are yet to come. But I gotta worry about them one by one.
Yeah.
Like it's like I can't worry about tomorrow because I don't even know if I'm gonna be there tomorrow.
Correct.
Like it's like, and even the worries that I have today, it's it like, is it something money can buy? Because if it's something money can buy, then it's settled. Like I just have to work for it, you
That's
know.
it. Yeah.
But if it's my health, obviously, like that's to my detriment. Like, and that's why I have to like think think healthy as well. Think
Mm-hmm.
healthy and be healthy, because I think that one thing that also really deteriorates us is being stressed all the time. Like
Yeah.
it's
You're right.
it's
One hundred
it's
percent.
it's like you can either do the work or be stressed, and I know that's I've seen how stress really can age a person, really can affect a person. Like you could see it all across their face.
Yeah.
You could see their health declining. And I don't know, and stress is such a big thing as well. With people that want to evolve, but I think you just got to know that you got to take it day by day. It's like you're not going to win over the world in one day. So
I agree, brother. And I mean, what you were saying is true, brother. I mean, if I have to add anything to it, is you know, everything that we feel, it's emotions, right? And emotions are energy. And you know, there's that law of Newton, right? Energy cannot be destroyed or ignored. It can only be transformed.
yeah,
So where I'm going with this is, once you have a negative emotion, you can't ignore it. It's gonna be there regardless. So it's up to you to transform it into something positive, because you have the power to it. You have the power to do that. So when something bad comes in, it shouldn't affect you, because boom, you're able to get all that energy, because you don't even see it as something negative. You just see it as free energy, and boom, and you funnel it into something positive. It's like, damn. So now I'm using this negative moment to my advantage. So now this shit can destroy me, right? It can affect me, right? Because now you rewire your brain. Maybe you're wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, right? But you rewire your brain in a way where it doesn't affect you. It's like, okay, it's fine. Free energy. Funnel it into something positive. You know?
and thank you, Esteban, for having this conversation with me, bro.
Of course, brother.
We're gonna have to do it again. And guys, if you stayed this long, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Any last details?
I guess I'll promote myself. You know, you can find me on Instagram as the number 1.tebes, and you know, follow Fast Flow as well. You know, and thank you for having me.
All right, bro. Thank you,
Brother.
and guys, we'll see you
Appreciate
guys
you.
in the next one.